The Sony PlayStation 3 is the secret ultimate CRT upgrade. It is the best way to stream YouTube, Netflix, Prime Video, and play Blu-rays, DVDs, and even MP4 video files on your CRT TV, and you need to get one while you still can. In the early 2000s, the video game and television industries started a period of rapid generational shifts that changed standards that had lasted for decades. The CRT TV had a 4:3 aspect ratio, a maximum resolution of 640 by 480 at 60 Hz, and exclusively used analog signals. Then came the switch to LCD TVs and plasma TVs, which brought a 16:9 aspect ratio, a maximum resolution of 1080p, and digital signals via HDMI or high-quality analog signals from component video. The technology changed from an electron gun lighting up phosphors on a tube to 3 LCD RGB lights representing each pixel. But a lot was lost in the process. LCD TVs looked different and felt different. We lost scan lines, zero lag, and the phosphor glow. And there definitely is something that you miss when you play retro games on an LCD TV. This is where the PlayStation 3 comes in. It built upon the legacy of the PS2 and the PS1, but also fully embraced both analog and HDMI-based digital output compatibility. It sits just at the right time to straddle both eras. And that's why it's so good for our purposes today, bringing many of the benefits of the modern digital age to CRT TVs. On top of that, Sony knows their stuff when it comes to audio-video home electronics. It is their bread and butter. Sony was responsible for CDs, DVDs, and Blu-rays, and the PlayStation 3 carries on that legacy by playing them all. The problem with using modern streaming boxes is that they just stopped adding analog video support. Amazon Fire, Chromecast, and Roku all stopped supporting analog video out. But I am lucky. I have the mythical Roku model 3910X, which is the last streaming device that they made that has the analog out on it. Luckily, it supports the current generation of Roku apps, but these have gotten increasingly rare, so you might think that you're going to get by fine by getting a converter box that can take an HDMI signal and get analog 640 by 480 AV signal out of it. And that's true, there are plenty of cheap converter boxes out there, but the problem is that a 1080p video signal is at a 16:9 aspect ratio, and a CRT display is typically a 4:3 aspect ratio. So it's going to stretch the image in rather horrific ways. It's going to make all the characters on the screen look like they have watermelon heads or banana heads. Watermelon head is where a 4:3 image is stretched out for a widescreen 16:9 display, and banana head is a 16:9 image when it's squished to fit on a 4:3 screen. When 16:9 movies were converted for 4:3 displays, they were converted using the pan and scan process, where each shot was selectively centered and cropped to minimize the impact. This is not happening here. Personally, I think life is just too short to spend time watching things at the incorrect aspect ratio. This would irritate the daylights out of me. Believe it or not, the Sony PlayStation 3 store is still open, but it doesn't have the ability to add money to an account directly on the console. So if you have an existing PSN account, you can add money to it using a web browser or from a different console. From there, on the PlayStation 3, you can purchase and download various streaming apps, which will come in handy. Now, this is a compromise, and we don't exactly know how long Sony intends to keep the PlayStation 3 store open. So if you're gonna get a PlayStation 3 and set it up, I would recommend doing it sooner rather than later. There are 3 distinct designs for the PlayStation 3. The Fat Original. This is the first model, and it sort of looks like a George Foreman grill. It'll play Metal Gear Solid 4 and cook you a panini at the same time. Some of the first generation ones were backwards compatible with the PlayStation 2 and actually had PlayStation 2 chips in them to facilitate this. However, this generation of console is known for overheating and it has some pretty loud fan noise. Be prepared for this one to sound like they're trying to achieve liftoff, especially the early models, which are now probably full of dust and cat hair. The Slim. Then Sony released the PlayStation 3 Slim. This is an absolutely great revision. It is readily available and has a slot-loading disk drive on the front. It is noticeably quieter than its older brother, and while you'll still hear the fan kick on those intense games, it's much more pleasant for media playback. The Super Slim. Finally, they released the Super Slim. I like this model. They condensed the hardware even further, and the discs go in a sliding tray in the top, and it's not quite as cool as a slot loading drive, but this thing is small and it is the quietest of the bunch. The fan is much less aggressive, making it the best choice if you're sensitive to noise or the console will be sitting close to you. I would recommend that you get a Slim or Super Slim, but for our purpose, any of the three will do it and it can talk to a CRT TV just fine. Considering that the PlayStation 3 hardware is almost 20 years old, it is pretty impressive to see streaming apps that still work. YouTube. The good news is that YouTube works like a champ. The app still works and can buffer and stream video just fine. Some 4x3 content on YouTube actually displays at 4x3. YouTube Music is also accessible through the app, and purchases that you've made in the Google or YouTube store will be there. Most importantly, you can watch the 8-bit joystick YouTube channel such as this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Netflix. The price of Netflix has gone up quite a bit, but it is still supported on the PlayStation 3. I currently do not have a Netflix subscription, so I can't comment if the 4x3 content displays at the proper ratio or not, but it still works. Amazon Prime. Jeff Bezos and his buddies seem to be putting a whole bunch of ads in this service that you're technically already paying for. But Amazon Prime still works and it works great. So if you want to watch Mobile Suit Gundam G-Quux on your CRT TV, you can do it on your PlayStation 3. It's not quite as fast and peppy compared to other services on other hardware, but it works. The ones that don't work. Sadly, Hulu and Crunchyroll are no longer working. The Hulu app is available to download, but it can no longer connect to the Hulu service. For Crunchyroll, the app is apparently still there for PlayStation Vita, but not for the PlayStation 3. Noticeably missing is Funimation. You're also not going to see Disney Plus, HBO Max, or Paramount Plus because those were newer services and were never released for the PlayStation 3. It sort of goes without saying, but the PlayStation 3 is an absolutely awesome DVD player and a totally awesome Blu-ray player. This is important because every single PlayStation 3 has analog AV output in addition to HDMI. Blu-ray can hold a heck of a lot more video data than a DVD. Being able to watch movies and TV shows that were only released on Blu-ray disc on the PlayStation 3 is a definite plus. Sadly, some of the 4x3 aspect ratio shows are coded as a 16:9 HD image. 4x3 images on Blu-ray will play being centered with some bars on the top and the sides, but it still looks good and you're getting most of the HD picture and it's going to be played at the correct aspect ratio with the wrong scaling, but what are you going to do? USB video playback. The PlayStation 3 is an amazing good device for playing MP4 files. So if you ripped your DVDs or Blu-rays or converted them to MP4 or have video files that you have acquired through completely legitimate means, wink wink, you can stick them on a USB thumb drive and plug it into the USB port and then copy them over to the internal hard drive or play it off the USB stick. The PlayStation 3 supports the FAT32 format only. but often modern hard drives are formatted to exFAT, which is not supported, so you'll have to erase them. Just remember to format your thumb drive to FAT32 and then enable MBR or master boot record. Then create a folder named Video in all caps directly on the root directory of the USB drive and place your MP4 files in it. You have to do that so the PlayStation 3 will see it. Your friends might be bragging about their 4K OLED TVs, but you can tell them that you're watching Mobile Suit Gundam the way it was meant to be seen, on a 100-pound glass bottle filled with lightning. And this is where I want to give a shout out to Handbrake, which is an amazing piece of free and open source software for converting videos into MP4 files that you can play on the PlayStation 3. I have covered Handbrake extensively in a good video that not many people watched called How to Put Retro Anime on Retro Game Handhelds. This is a good companion video to this one. A link to that video is in the description of this one or is at the end of the video. Beyond just playing files from a USB stick, the PlayStation 3 has another fantastic trick up its sleeve. It is a fantastic network player media device. The system has built-in support for something called DLNA. In simple terms, this means that you can set up a media server on your computer or a network-attached storage NAS. Using software like Plex and the PlayStation 3 will automatically see it on your home network for all your retro viewing needs. The Sony PlayStation 3 does not switch to a different video input at boot up unless you tell it to. So if you buy a PlayStation 3 that was previously used on an HDMI TV, it is going to keep looking for an HDMI TV unless you do this. Press the power button once to turn it on, and then immediately press and hold the power button again for about 3 seconds until you hear a second beep and then release the button. This is going to make it auto-detect the kind of display that it's connected and switch over to that input. So if you're going from HDMI to composite, component, or S-video, you need to do that to have it look for an analog source. It will then boot up in the lowest resolution. From there, you can go to Settings, Display Settings, Video Output Settings, and then pick your connection type. Set the TV type to 4:3, hit X to save it, and set your audio output, and then you're good to go. The PlayStation 3 menu is peak Sony. I just love this user interface. Upgrade your upgrade. Pimp my PlayStation 3. The Sony Bluetooth Media Remote. I really recommend that you get one of these suckers. It is a Bluetooth controller which can turn on your PlayStation 3, launch your apps, navigate around, watch your media, and then shut it down. And you could probably get one of these used, and they're cheaper than you think. S-Video is totally underrated and is another great option. I love S-Video, and I am not ashamed to say it. AV switch boxes. If you're going to be hooking up multiple things to a CRT TV, it's best to feed everything through an AV video switch box. If you see an old school Pelican or GameStop switch box from about 20 years ago in a discount bin, get it. It can really help to keep your cables clean. There is also a really good GE-made S-Video switch box, which is still available on Amazon. If you're buying a PlayStation 3, check the included hard drive. If it's one of the old fat models, it might be pitifully small, and you can use a standard laptop hard drive to upgrade it. Vertical stand. The fat PlayStation 3 is quite stable on its own, and the PlayStation 3 Slim does pretty well vertically. But the super slim PlayStation 3 is greatly enhanced by the additional stability that a vertical stand provides. Personally, I keep my PS3 vertical to save space for more CRTs. Did you know that the PlayStation 3 is also good for games? That's right. Every single PlayStation 3 can play PlayStation 3 Blu-ray discs, but they can also play original PlayStation 1 discs. And it is also worth mentioning that there are some pretty great exclusive PlayStation 3 games which have only been released on the system. Most notably, Metal Gear Solid 4 is a masterpiece and has never been released on anything other than the PlayStation 3 system. And then there's 3D Dot Game Heroes, which is amazing. And again, it was only released on PlayStation 3 disc. So if you're going to get into PlayStation 3 collecting, it would be much better to do it sooner rather than later before the PlayStation 3 store closes for good. Explaining to someone why you're using a game console from 2006 on a TV from 1996 to watch an anime from 1986 is a special kind of nerd nirvana. Now, I bought my spare PlayStation 3 Super Slim from Goodwill online, and I think it was like 40 bucks. So that's cheaper than a local game store. So if you see one, definitely consider it because it just might be the ultimate upgrade that your CRT TV needs. So my big heckin' chonker cat here just wanted to let you know that we make awesome videos like this each week. So make sure that you are subscribed by hitting the subscribe button. It's free, and so you don't miss out on future videos. And let the YouTube robots know that you like this video by hitting that like button. This is 8-Bit Joystick. Stay awesome. Play retro.